Here we are, back again.
Back again.
Funniest thing, 30 plus episodes in, we just figured out that we can move the microphone so we don't actually obstruct each other's view. It's really nice. Ryan told us we couldn't do it.
And here we are.
30 seconds
We have
later.
defied the laws of mankind, physics, humanity.
Anything is possible.
Anything.
If you believe, you can achieve. We just proved it with these microphones.
I was just sitting there. We had the microphones up, and I just adjusted, and I couldn't see you. And I was like, oh, this sucks. Can we just invert the arm?
Joe, you ever dealt with a friend, and he's like that thrift, cheap friend? You ever had to sell something to a person like that?
See, I don't sell shit to friends. I think it's the worst. The worst.
Oh, man. I have no problem selling to friends because I'm willing to be reasonable. I just expect it.
I just hate
But my
it.
cheapskate friends that try to do business with me, I fucking can't stand it. Pardon my French. I got to tell you a bike story.
Oh, here the bike story.
So we'll give this person an anonymous alias, Freddie Wicks. Love the guy.
Not going to say his name, but it rhymes with
Love the guy.
Bready Fix.
Love the guy. However, he is notoriously tight-fisted with his money.
Yeah.
And this is why he does okay and everything else. But here's the deal. He said he wanted to buy a bike that I have.
Sure.
I've used this bike 2 times.
Which is a whole story in
It's
itself.
sat in my garage. It's in good shape. I've only used it 2 times ever. And it was like less than an hour it's had written on it. He offered me $400 to buy the bike. I think I paid close to $700 for it. Okay. And I said, sure, no problem. Come by, pick it up. Well, no, I have to deliver it here. Well, I'm like, okay, if I remember. But anyways, come by, pick up the bike. Well, then, a month goes by. He circles back and he says.
So he never picked up the bike?
He never picked up the bike. He circles back and now offers me $300 on the bike that he offered me $400 for. The bike still hasn't been used. It's sitting there. Now he's trying to grind me for $300 now for the bike. And he sends me this freaking Canadian Tire ad for this other type of bike, which has nothing to do with mine, some cheaply built China bike. And he's like, oh, it's on sale for $399. I could go get that. I'm like, well, then go get it. But he's sitting here grinding me on a bike that he asked me to buy that I was already giving him a buddy deal. And I just said, sure, fine, $400, no problem. Now he's trying to grind me $300.
So where does it stand now?
So where it stands now, I blast them nicely, but I'm like, I can't even do it. I cannot deal with this guy when it comes to this. Like, I don't negotiate with terrorists, is what I said last. I do not negotiate
Terrorists
with
and
them.
therapists. Those are the 2 people I don't negotiate with.
And he's now dealing with my wife on the bike.
Oh,
I guess
my
he's been
God.
by. He took the bike for a ride, and he's like, oh, I don't know. Like, this is a $400 purchase. I'm like, you got to have better things to do in life than overthinking a bicycle purchase. My goodness.
Here's the thing, and I think that
I love you, Freddie.
There's telltale signs of how people sort of are in life. Never trust a Subaru driver.
Yeah, I know.
Never.
I know.
It's, you know what? Again, people who drive Subarus they're a different breed. They're a different breed. And Freddie doesn't even have like a WRX, like an Impreza. He's got like a Forester. So that's going to come with its own set of challenges. So I love the guy. I'm at the gym with him every day.
But
we all love him.
You don't do this to friends.
But I will say,
I would never do that. Think of all the amazing things that we've done together in our lifetime. How many bills I've picked up. He's like, hey, I really want to go to EXPCon. Oh, who's footing the bill on that? Well, Freddie, you, my friend, are going to be footing that bill.
Except for the hotel room,
right? If I start nickeling and diming you the same way you are on this bike purchase, well, guess what? There is no EXPCon in your future, my friend, and certainly not going to be spending any money to go above and beyond to do anything for you, right? So here's the take. Last episode we talked about being a taker. Freddie's a giver in a lot of ways. He gives a lot to our clients, our company. I mean, he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. But Freddie, you got to stop being cheap, especially with your friends, my friend. Okay, you got to loosen that up a little bit. If you want more to come back to you, I promise you, you're going to get more by being abundant than you are by squeezing and nickeling and diming. You save dimes, but you trip over dollars. Love you, pal. Just pay the $400 for the bike if you want it, or don't buy it. Either way, I don't care at this point. I'd rather give the kid to a bike, or to the bike to a kid who needs a bike, than sell it to you for any less than $400 out of pure principle. You are grinding me on a deal that you already offered me. It just doesn't make any sense.
Makes zero sense. And I will say, again, love Freddie to death. Freddie is closer to his money than the queen, and she's fucking on it.
And listen, this guy's always had money. Ever since grade 8, Freddie's always had money in savings.
Yeah.
I've picked up a lot of bills. He's not quick to grab the bill, let me tell you.
No.
I've picked up a lot of bills in our lifetime.
Does he do the wallet Macarena?
It's probably a 90-10 ratio in my favor. So like the least you could do, bro, is not nickel and dime me over $100 on a bike, please. Because I promise you, I don't forget these things. I don't forget.
Is that a promise?
Now it's a promise. I don't forget these things. So next time, I won't be as
Freddie,
generous.
if you're listening to this, go grab 4 $100 bills, 8 50s, and just buy the damn bike.
Just buy the bike or don't. You offered it. You wanted to buy it. There it is. So anyways, let's move on from that. But please don't nickel and dime your friends. That's the last people that you should do that with.
Man. Wow.
What do you want to talk about, man?
What do I want to talk about? What I want to talk about is
time management.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I think a lot of people misunderstand the idea of saving money. So here's the deal. You have to understand that your time is worth so much. So if you're in an industry that's commission-based, the ceiling is endless of what your income could be, right? However, the problem is if you're doing a bunch of tasks that are $20 or less or $25 or less tasks, you are then limiting your upside, right? So every time that you're adding things to your plate that could be done by somebody else for a lot less money who would do a better job than you, you are stunting your growth. And I did an audit recently. So one of the things that I've been teaching some of my students that are ready to add leverage, they're looking to add their first hire outside of an assistant. Well, what I've suggested is that they create a mentorship opportunity for an agent to join the industry. And I think our industry does need an apprenticeship program.
It does.
So what I've done is I've had them do this, and anybody listening, you can do this for yourself. I said, what's the average amount of time it takes to work with a buyer, for example, from start to finish? If you were to take 100 buyer deals, on average, what's the amount of time that goes in from creating the opportunity to closing it? And let's just say that it's about 40 hours. That's the average amount of time that you would put in to transact with a buyer on average. Now, there's going to be some that are a lot less and some that are more. We're talking averages, okay? So if you think about that, what percentage of that time is you in the car, out there showing properties, doing a lot of that work? Well, let's just say that it was 35 of those hours, okay?
Fair enough.
Not unreasonable to think that that would be the case. Well, if you found a newer agent that had great people skills, you taught them how to work with buyers, obviously taught them your buyer process. You taught them how to do proper consultations. You got involved in that, and you worked clients together. So imagine this. You're like the surgeon and they're like the registered nurse. You offered that agent a salary plus a bonus structure, say 10% on deals that you close. You give them $36,000 a year salary, maybe all the way up to $50,000. Maybe offer them a little bit of benefits or something, right?
Yeah.
You give them an opportunity to learn and how to work and service clients with you. Well, now you could take and save 35 hours per client. Well, if you're somebody doing an average of 50 deals a year, Ryan, do the math on that. 50 times 35. What would that be? 50 times 35.
Can't be done.
50 times 35. You've just saved 1,750 hours a year. Okay, so if you were doing 50 transactions and we found somebody that could handle 35 hours on the average per client, took that off your plate, right? If you just did the same amount of transactions, but now I've just freed up 35 hours per transaction, which leads to about 1,750 hours. Now, if you take that, I'm saving you what? Like almost 2.5 weeks a month? 2.5 weeks a month of your time that I've just saved you. Do you not think that you could go and create a whole bunch more business? Do you think you could service more clients? Do you think that you could add more people to your organization? Do you think you could create other business lines? Of course you could. Now, the nice thing is there's a nice value exchange here. The person that you're working with is getting reps and an opportunity to cement themselves in the industry. They're actually getting paid to learn and get experience, right? And this could be a 2-year apprenticeship program that you run for them. Maybe it's 12 months. Maybe it's 3 years. Maybe this is somebody who doesn't want to be a rainmaker. This person's happy and content making between $80,000 to $130,000 a year in a role where they have more stability and security and they don't have to be that big rainmaker. Either way, though, as the team leader, it makes financial sense because your hourly rate just went up exponentially because the amount of time that it now takes you to do one transaction goes down significantly. And there's ways you can run this. You could run this by doing consultations jointly with your right-hand person, talking about your process and how you work together, right? You can be checking in throughout the process. If there's a second showing that needs to happen, you can show up for that. You would be handling a lot of the negotiations pieces. You could be doing some research and being helpful, right? But again, the bottom line is a lot of that grindy driving and door opening, which again, for somebody might be an amazing job. They would love that. Some people love showing properties and would be completely content doing a role like this. And they're making excellent money. So again, it's a very fair value exchange. Not everybody needs to be the surgeon. Not everybody wants to be the rainmaker. But if you're that position in your organization and you found that right-hand person, you could take on way more clients, do way more business, make more money, and have more time freedom. So there's a tip for you guys. If you want to, really start maybe building a bit of a team, start with a salary plus commission type position. Be selective of the people that you bring on, but together you could work the client files and that'll make a big difference. And you can do that on the buy side. You can do that on the listing side. Start thinking about what's your time worth versus you micromanaging every facet of the transaction, which is only going to reduce the amount you make per hour.
Two things that come to mind: compounding effect. Look what you could do with that time. You go from 50 deals to 100 deals. To me, that's number one. And number two, that leverage play. That's so huge because how many agents are actually doing 30 plus deals and it's like, wow, like I'm sacrificing everything. Like there's no gas in the tank. I haven't hung out with my family on a Sunday in 3 years. How many birthday parties have I ruined or Christmases or New Year's or whatever, man? Totally. Because you're running around thinking that you're saving lives. Well, you're not. You just don't have the right leverage.
100%.
So that's a huge play.
Yeah, the support that you put around you is super important. There are people that want stable, secure employment, don't want the stresses of having so much volatility from month to month. And a lot of people are completely content doing that. You're not taking advantage of anybody. You're creating an opportunity. Remember, 86% of people are going to fail in the first 2 years of real estate. If you could create a paid apprenticeship program, there would be hardly any failure rate as long as people did the right things. And of course, that you kept doing the right things, which are more business development, more prospecting, more marketing, right? The things that are going to generate more opportunities.
So what about this? Let's say somebody's like, Jason, you're onto something here.
Yeah.
Where would you suggest people go to find those new agents?
Yeah, so good question. Obviously, talk to your local MLS boards. They're going to have a list of new agents that have just been licensed, right? So that's probably a good place to go. You could be running ads. You could be talking to your local networks. Get involved with some of the new agent training, right? Through your MLS, through your real estate council. There's a lot of different ways to do that, right? But I think ultimately, the more you put your brokerage will have a list. They'll know some of the new agents. And believe me, there's plenty of new agents that would love to ease into the industry and get lots of experience and having somebody who's more experienced hold their hand, be there to support them and to handle the tough stuff, the negotiations, so the deals are getting through the finish line. Because what happens is that when you put deals in the hands of somebody who's a rookie, they're going to make a lot of mistakes, which are very costly in real estate, right? If that deal doesn't come together, there's no income. So this way you can monitor that and over time allow them to start writing some of the deals and you can monitor a little closely. But what you're doing is you're buying your time back. We were having a debate this morning and you're like, well, you leave at 2:30 some days, right? Because we ball bust each other.
We break a lot of balls.
But here's the deal. I've bought some of my time back by putting qualified people around me and I pay them well and I take really good care of them. But that then allows me the opportunity with that time to go and spend it with my family, also to go and create other businesses, right? When I was actively in production, we had one income line, which was our commission income through our real estate team. Since exiting production, we've added 7 lines of income now. We've been able to create another 7-figure company. We've created a global organization, which brings in passive revenue that people share in, that we're building and growing. We're now building a global syndicate. So there's a lot of amazing things I've been able to do by freeing up my time. So the smartest thing is if you're like sitting there and you're like, well, I'm a perfectionist and I do everything better. Well, look in the mirror and realize that you're not as good at everything as you think you are, and you are a bottleneck. If you want a better life, you need to empower people around you, trust them. Make sure that you connect on a proper values level and that you have the same kind of relationship that you and I have, Joe, which is there is no sum of money that could buy this relationship. No sum. For me, $10 billion wouldn't do it. 100 billion, a trillion, none of it matters because my relationship with you is not for sale. Those values are important. We go down together. We go up together. And that's the same with people around here like Jackie and Jamie and Freddie and Caitlin and Ryan and all these amazing people we surround ourselves with. And there's plenty of other names that I'm missing. But the point I'm trying to make is you cannot buy those relationships. The values aren't for sale. You need to find people that agree with that. Is there a security? Is there a level of like confidence and security you have in like being like, hey, honey, we're all in with this. Like, this is like where I'm going. Like, does it give you some confidence knowing that like, no matter what, I'm here?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's all about who you go into battle with, right? You and I, we've been charting unknown territory for 4.5 years now together. So at this point, I don't know what I would do if I was actually comfortable. If I was comfortable, I would be scared. I find beauty in that level of discomfort, right? But I'm uncomfortable with my closest friends. Like, I make money with my friends. I think that's kind of how I've built my friendships, right? Because we go to battle together. We feed our families together. We have a vested interest in elevating each other. So for me, I find confidence in being uncomfortable, which is the most brilliant thing. But yeah, man, I wake up every day fired up with what we do and who we do it with.
Yeah,
definitely.
Love it. So guys, evaluate your time. If you need a time audit, we have a time audit document that you guys can use to help you figure out where should you spend more of your time and what should you remove off your plate. But the more you get off your plate, the smaller your scope of expertise. And if you focus on the highest return on your time activities, that's how you make huge breakthroughs financially. Really, really important. And then surround yourself with the right people that have the right values and just take really good care of them. Make sure you don't nickel and dime them, please.
If you're gonna buy a bike, buy a damn bike.
Yeah, just do right by people. But if you squeeze people, man, I promise you, there will be nothing there coming back to you in the long run. It's just not worth it.
Great advice.
Have an amazing day, everybody.
See you.
Jeez.